What's going on, guys? Akko here, coming at you with my updated team building guide. After the massive balance patch the DBFZ had, a lot of characters got a lot of new tools and the game changed completely. So a lot of characters' recommended positions have changed. So we're just going to go ahead and do what we did last time. We're going to go step by step with each character and break down where I think they should go on your team. So obviously there's a lot to talk about, so let's not waste any time and jump right on into it. So before we start breaking down each character's recommended position, let's go ahead and take a quick second to talk about what each position is and what it actually means so that we're on the same page. For this guide, we're going to be breaking down the characters into 4 different positions: point, mid, anchor, and flexible. Your point character is usually going to be one who excels at utilizing 2 assists and deciding the flow of the match. It's also usually a character who builds a lot of meter and can very comfortably 2-touch. That is to say, get a kill after landing 2 clean hits. The mid's main job is to support the point character. Usually they're going to have either a very good assist or they're going to be waiting for an active tag to come in and do big damage. Usually your mids either don't build a lot of meter or don't play neutral well. Usually they have some sort of drawback to their kit, so they will let the point character do the heavy lifting, or the mid comes in and either plays cleanup or capitalizes on an opening that the point created. Your anchor is usually the character that supports the entire team. Both the point and the mid are going to be heavily relying on your anchor's assist, so usually anchor characters are going to have a very good assist that usually sets the tone of the entire team. And also notably, you're going to want a character that's good survivability and a balanced toolkit, because if it comes down to it, your anchor is going to be your last line of defense and the character that you're going to want the best chance of making a comeback with. And then flexible is, as it sounds, it is a character that fits comfortably into multiple positions, and we will go through those one by one as we get to them. And now that we've broken down what each team position actually means, let's go ahead and start getting into my recommendations for where each character should fall on this list. Starting with Android 16. Android 16 I would place in the anchor category. Android 16 is an incredibly balanced character. He basically has everything you want in a character. He has very, very good neutral, and most importantly, he has anti-zoning. That is to say that he can somewhat ignore key blast, beams, and assists. That is a very, very strong tool to have. He has the biggest key factor of a good anchor, and that is a godlike assist in his B assist. It is one of the most disruptive and long-lasting assists in the game, which means it's an assist that powers up most other characters. If you do end up with just 16 by himself, it is definitely not impossible to make a comeback due to the fact of, like I said, he has a lot of anti-zoning tools, which means he can just straight up ignore opponents' assists, key blasts, and beams. On top of that, he has his own plus moves. He has a move that is literally +8 on block that he can break up his staggers with. He has the now fastest command grab in the game as of the most recent patch, a 16-frame command grab, which is just nuts. On top of the fact that he has an amazing anti-air grab, he is just a very good, very well-rounded character, and I feel like he has become one of the game's better anchor choices. Android 17. I would place Android 17 in the flexible category. Android 17 is a very interesting character in terms of team placement, due to the fact that I feel from a design standpoint he was designed as a point character, but over time, due to the overwhelming strength of his assist and how powerful it is in even the current meta of the game, he's become a character that people would rather have in the back to utilize his assist rather than to have up front. So with that in mind, you can pretty much place him anywhere. I would recommend, most likely I would recommend putting him on point, just due to the fact that he is very, very good with assists. He builds an insane, like ungodly amount of meter, and he just has all around really good defensive and offensive options. And like his only weakness is that some of his air interactions and some of his buttons are a little stubby, but that's the kind of thing that gets fixed by assists. However, if you wanted to run him as sort of a fake anchor, that is to say you put him at the back of your team and then active tag him in anytime you get a hit so that you can build a million bars, that is still a very strong way to utilize him. And of course, you get his amazing A assist. So 17 is one of those characters where it really is up to you how you utilize him. He's one of the most interesting characters in the game in terms of a specific role, because it's really hard to say, which is why he definitely falls into the flexible category. Android 18. Android 18 I would absolutely place as a point character. After her most recent buffs, 18 has basically become a monster of a character. She has literally been buffed into the perfect version of herself. Her neutral now with her changes has just become insane. The fact that she can now summon the 17 barrier on the ground has just overhauled her entire game. So now when she's on the screen, she basically dictates the pace of the entire match, because now that she has access to basically 2 barriers at any given time plus her own assists, she basically commands the neutral. The Ki Blast, beams, super dash, even run up buttons kind of lose meaning when she's on the screen. Not to mention she builds insane bar. She's very hard to block when she's close to you. She still has a really strong level 3 mix-up. She has incredible Oki. She can stop you from calling your assists. The list goes on. This is literally everything you could ever want in a point character. Majin 21. This is a character that I would place in the flexible category. Basically, she is one of the best jack-of-all-trades characters in the game, literally by nature. Due to the nature of her move pool, pretty much she is based now around her move steals, and her move steals give her pretty much more flexibility in this game than any other character, because at any moment she could go from having a beam to a rapid Ki Blast to solar flare to an air grab to a teleport to whatever, and the opponent has to always keep in mind what kind of character they're playing and what kind of moves she currently has stocked up. Like, that in and of itself makes her incredibly flexible, but then you add in that she has some of the best neutral in the game. She does have a very good command grab. She has really good meter build, amazing buttons, great staggers, pretty much everything you could want out of a character. Like, sure, she doesn't have the level 3 Oki anymore, but that is so inconsequential to the fact that she gets fully stocked and her stocks are literally busted now. She is pretty much a character that you can put anywhere in your team. You put her on point and have her kind of go crazy at the beginning. You can have her in the middle to run cleanup, or you can have her as a reliable anchor since she has so many strong tools. She's definitely like one of the most versatile characters in the entire game. Bardock, the human javelin. Bardock, I would place him in the point category. This is due strictly to the point. He is a very power crept character. He is pretty much the definition of power creep at this point. Everything that was amazing about him has pretty much been assimilated by the entire cast. His biggest strength has always been his neutral. And at this point in the game, almost everybody has good neutral, and if they don't, they have something else that's really good about them. So saying that he has good neutral is just not going to cut it anymore. So you may as well, if you're going to play him, you should have him on point, since he does have a fast low, and he does get in very quickly, and he does play good neutral. He benefits extremely heavily from having good assists, and he can utilize assists very, very well. Especially with the way his lariats work now, he can benefit from assists even more than before. So he is a pretty decent point. I'm not gonna sound like, you know, he's trash or anything, but he is a pretty good point character. His meter build is pretty good, his staggers are pretty good, and all around, like, he's a solid character in the game. Definitely not the best point out there, but I would say when you consider his kit, it is currently the best role for him. Beerus, this character is easily an anchor. This is what the community has been calling the one who got away, the character who somehow dodged the Nerf bullets, and he may just well be the best anchor in the game now. So, of course, he has an absolutely godlike assist. His A assist is just so good. It's instant. It's infinite block stun. It's infinite hit stun. It covers so much of the screen. It just literally does everything. It augments most characters in the game. He has very, very strong anti-zoning now, with both his H and his 2M being anti-projectile, meaning both can just straight up ignore assists, ki blast, and beams. And then if you end up with him alone, his solo pressure, solo neutral, and solo damage are all insane due to the way he's set up with his orbs. He does have a few bad matchups here and there, but due to how strong his overall kit is, it doesn't matter. If this character is alone, he can still play the game so well. Such great Oki by himself, such great block strings by himself, damage by himself, pretty much everything in the game he can do alone, even better with assists. He is literally one of the strongest characters in the game and possibly the best anchor in the game as of right now. Super Buddy, he is going to be the first character to go into the mid category. He's pretty much a textbook mid. He benefits heavily from active tag, meaning that you want a good point character with good neutral to do the heavy lifting, and then once they get a hit, bring him in and just let him go crazy with his movie length combos. That is basically the most optimal way to play him. He benefits a lot from having meter, and his neutral is not that good, so you want characters out there to do the heavy lifting first. And once they do, he becomes a force to be reckoned with because he has some of the highest damage in the game, even without his install. Once he turns on his permanent install, he's just a killing machine, and all he needs is a little bit of meter and a corner to get that going. And once he has those things, he is a very, very big threat to deal with. See Bully. This character is back from the dead. Literally in the last meta, he had fallen out of everyone's good graces. No one believed in him anymore. He was basically like a forgotten character, and man, is he back and better than ever. After his recent buffs, he is arguably better than he's ever been. He finally has stable and realistic and non-demanding combo routes. Now that he actually has combo routes, he is an insanely credible threat. If he gets a hit on you mid-screen, it's gonna hurt. He can literally go into his slow level 3. He can do a lot of damage before vanishing. There is just a lot of possibility that opens up from that. And of course, he still has the bubble, which is the most ridiculous move in the game. The bubble negates everything, all ki blasts, beams, and assists. He has an unreactable grab. He has the freight train, which is almost guaranteed to mount a comeback by itself. Anti-air grab. Pretty much everything you could ever want out of a solo character. He is entirely self-sustained, has an amazing assist, so he is pretty much the complete package, and definitely, once again, one of the best anchor characters in the entire game. Captain Ginyu, my man. Definitely going in the flexible position. I mean, what can you say? One of the, if not the most versatile characters in this whole game. His biggest strength is his insane neutral through taking over the neutral space with the Ginyu Force, and this works well point, mid, or anchor. If you have him point, it's easier to get the Ginyu Force started because you can cover that space with good assists and then get going. If you have him as a mid, he can let the point character do the heavy lifting before tagging him in and then going crazy, or he can play cleanup if the point character gets killed. And then if he's an anchor, it is not that difficult for him to get his summons out solo now, since most of them are ki blast invul. And then of course there is the body change, which can just ruin the opponent's entire team build. There is his B assist, which is one of the best assists in the game. It basically lets every character benefit from having the Ginyu Force, as well as building a lot of meter. He's just all around a monster, and pretty much wherever you want to put him on your team is entirely up to you, which makes him one of the most flexible characters in the entire game. Cell is pretty much another example of a textbook mid. His greatest weakness has always been that his neutral is a little lackluster, but having another character take care of that for him and then active tagging in when it's beneficial just completely negates that problem. Not to mention he's very meter hungry. You need a lot of meter with him in order to really play the games you want to play. Like when you have meter, perfect attack opens up his neutral and his mix-up options. And his level 3 has one of the nastiest mix-ups in the game in the corner. So getting a hit with a good point character and then active tagging into Cell's level 3 is literally just devious. And then outside of that, what he brings to your team is a lot of meter build, a lot of damage, a great corner carry, amazing staggers. He's just a very, very strong character. He just needs a little bit of help to get started, which makes him one of the better mids in the game. Cooler. This is a character that I would place in flexible category. Very similar to Z Bully, Cooler has seen some great changes in terms to his combo routes. He gets much better combos now mid-screen, and that really helps him out in being able to play just about any role that you might need. The best thing about Cooler is he has very strong anti-zoning tools, which makes him a great lead character. If you were to put him out on point, he can dictate the pace of the neutral very fast, since he can basically ignore assists, especially when he has assists behind him. For that same reason, though, he's also a great cleanup character in the mid and anchor positions as well. On top of that, he is an incredible stagger character, so once he gets in close, his staggers are very, very good, and due to his new combo routes, he is an incredibly damaging character. His damage output is ridiculous, as well as his meter build, and he's got a lot of good assists that he can bring to the table. So all around, he is a very balanced character, and he definitely deserves a position in the flexible category. Freeza. Man, I never thought the day would come when I had almost nothing but great things to say about Freeza in this game. Freeza has come such a long way, and he also is now one of the most flexible characters in this game due to the fact that he is now a premier zoner. Finally, after all these years, Freeza is actually amazing at zoning, which means he can literally play any position you want. If you put him on point, he can kind of bully the neutral from the very beginning, as long as one of his bad matchups is not on the other side. With mid, he can come out and play cleanup, and then he actually is a very strong anchor due to the way his zoning is set up, and he has gold and Frieza. So his zoning just makes him most difficult characters to deal with in the neutral. You literally need one of his bad matchups to stop him. That's how powerful his zoning is. On top of that, he has nothing but great assists. His A, B, and C are all amazing assists that can do a lot of different things for your team. And then, as mentioned, he does have the golden form, which lets you go from I'm going to zone to I'm going to mix. So all around, he is a very, very well-rounded character, and he literally can fit anywhere on your team where you need a good zoner. Gogeta Blue. How the mighty have fallen. When I was coming up with positions before recording this, I'm not gonna lie to you, I was stuck on this one for a while. This is a very tough call, but I came to the conclusion that he is basically only a mid now. After the nerfs, he kinda lost his positioning, because in the previous meta, he was the ultimate point character, because he utilized assists better than any other character, and his ability to two-touch was literally unmatched. So it's just, he dominated on your block, and then if he ever touched you, you were just deleted from the world. So now that's not really the case anymore. He still has high damage, and he still has his mix-ups, and he still has really good buttons. But due to the fact that his meter build is so low, he does not serve that same purpose. So what you're going to want to do with him now is to have a good battery character, that is to say someone who builds a lot of meter, have them go build the meter, and then bring him out for mix-ups. He still is a very strong mix-up character, so if you have a lot of meter and you have some good block stun assists, you can still build that meter, bring him in, get the kill. He still has level 2, still has level 5, still has all the qualities of a good mid. It's just that he's not building a million meter anymore, so you're not going to want him as the front runner of your team. Adult Gohan, the other one who got away. I think it's safe to say that everyone pretty much agrees that his primary position is that of anchor, and that is strictly due to, if you're playing Adult Gohan, most likely your goal is to level him up. So if you're going for level 7, most likely you're going to have 2 characters in the front who are going to help you get to level 7, and then in the back you're going to have Adult Gohan just waiting for levels. You could also play him mid if you want to. If you're not worried about getting level 7, if you're just content with getting level 2 or even level 5, then I could see you just putting him in the mid category. But most people, if they're playing him, they have the goal of getting to level 7, which makes sense. And a level 7 Gohan as an anchor is basically unstoppable. He's a win condition character, so it makes sense that you want to build up to that. On top of that, he does have all 3 really good assists. He has a Beam C, a Lockdown B, and a Uppercut A, so he benefits well from being in the back, benefits well from being tagged in after getting meters, so pretty much a great example of an anchor character. But just make sure that you actually get those levels, because if you bring him in with level 1 and no meter to actually get up, then he's not actually going to function as an anchor character. Teen Gohan always has been, always will be one of the best point characters in the game. It's just the way he is built. He has incredibly strong neutral that only gets stronger with assists behind him, amazing pressure and corner carry, which is assist reliant, insane damage, which again is assist reliant. Basically, he's really reliant on assists to get a lot of what he wants, but it's just fine because he's so good at optimizing those things. It really is not hard for him to close the distance between an opponent and get a mix-up going almost at the start of the match. He's literally one of the best point characters in the game, and I doubt that that will ever change over time. Goku Black. I would nominate Goku Black for the mid position. I feel like he fills that role very well. He has very good neutral and very good staggers, but he is pretty meter dependent. Like, for him to really get going, you're going to want to be able to get those EX teleports. You're going to want to be able to get, you know, the EX God Slicer, and that can add up to a lot of meter spent. So I think he strongly benefits from letting someone else build the meter before he comes in to get the party started. Not to mention he's got really great assists now. Now that beam assists have been buffed, he has a beam assist, and those are among the best assists in the game now. Not to mention his B assist is also really good, and then he does have an air tracking C. So having him in the middle is one of the better positions for him, in my opinion. GT Goku, pretty much a textbook mid, and that is really good to be able to say now that he is once again a pretty strong character. And I know a lot of people have been waiting for that for a very long time, because he got shot a long time ago, but it feels like he is finally back. First of all, he has really great assists again. His GTA is basically back. It's a little slow, but the block stun and hit stun are amazing. So that's definitely an assist that you would want behind your point characters to back them up. What makes him a textbook mid is that he is a power-up character. Once a point character dies, he becomes stronger, so that is a good reason to have him in the back. He also is very good at spending meter. Once you have a lot of meter, his routes can really dump that meter and get kills really quickly with those Spirit Bomb combos. But on his own right, he also builds a lot of meter, does a lot of damage, and has really strong block string pressure. He is pretty assist reliant though, so it is good to have at least one assist behind him to help him with his mix-ups and his extensions. But in terms of mid characters, I think he is one of the better options in the game now. Goku Blue, pretty much a textbook point character. He pretty much does everything you would want a point character to do. He is amazing at optimizing assists, using assists to get in, and then getting that opening is highly likely with him. If he does get the opening, he builds a lot of bar, does insane damage. He has a level 5. He has some pretty good anti-zoning tools. All around, he is, and pretty much always will be, one of the best point characters in the entire game. SSJ. I would place SSJ in the flexible category. This is due to the fact that he is pretty much DBFZ man. After the beam update, his neutral and conversions got way better due to the fact that he basically pokes with beams for his neutral. Means that it's easy for him to get pickups without assists now. So keeping that in mind, the fact that he is a high meter build character, an insanely high damage character, he has great staggers, great buttons, you can put him in most roles now. I'd probably recommend putting him point, since he does benefit a lot from having assists behind him, But if you wanted to put him mid or even anchor in order to benefit from his assist, I can see you going that route. I wouldn't really recommend anchor personally. Like for this flexible, I would say stick to point or mid, because I do think he can mount comebacks due to his amazing neutral and amazing damage, but I do think it's a little bit tougher than some of the other characters in that category. But overall, I think that SSJ is pretty much the strongest he's ever been now. UI Goku I would consider a mid. UI is one of the defensive specialists of this game, so his biggest strength is not his ability to open people up, but it's his ability to slow other characters down, which is a very good strength to have, especially in this version of the game. So if your point character gets smoked and you need to slow things down, UI is really good at doing that. On top of, he does have pretty good assists now. His A assist is still not the best, but due to the hit stun buff, you do get actual conversions off of it. Not to mention, he still has the jam session assist, and he has an air tracking C, so he's got really good assists. But other than that, he is a pretty meter dependent character. The mix-ups that he does have are meter dependent, and he does have a DHC level 2, which is great. That is a great team utility to have. If your battery gets a hit, having someone that can come in and do 2 level 1s is a very good strength to have. So if you're looking for someone to fill that middle position, especially someone with good defensive mechanics, UI is definitely one to take a look at. Base Goku. Now this one's pretty obvious. He's one of the few characters in the game that is designed to be an anchor. As we all know, he has the Kaioken that powers up every time a character dies, and if he's left to be the anchor, then his Kaioken becomes its strongest. On top of that, he does actually have a lot of really good solo options now that he has the beam loops that he can do in the corner, not to mention a very good command grab, good neutral, good staggers, all that good stuff. Definitely still one of the game's premier anchor characters, and again, he's one of the only characters in the game that's actually designed by the devs to be an anchor. Gotenks. He's back. Now that they have basically removed the glitch from Gotenks, he is unleashed upon the world once again. They decided to buff him. His new buffs make his meter build absolutely insane. He might be the highest meter build character in the game. If he's not the highest, he's definitely up there, so that makes him an insane point character. The beam changes mean that his neutral is now much scarier. He gets a lot of damage off of one stray beam. He can optimize assists very well. He has his own set play. He is the active tag king. He has amazing buttons, staggers, his own plus move, pretty much everything in the world, and he possibly could be the best point character in the entire game now. Hit is a character who before I would have placed in the flexible category, since I do believe he can play just about any role. If you want him out at the beginning of the match to slow things down, he can do that. If he ends up alone, he can deal with just about anything. But I'm going to put him mid here just due to the fact of the penalty. Though I don't think it hurts him as much as other characters. It is only 25%, so I don't think that it's that crazy. And when he does have meter, he gets to go crazy. But keeping that in mind, that he builds less meter than other characters, is why I'm going to put him in mid. But everything else about him is still the same as before. His anti-neutral is just ridiculous. He basically destroys Super Dash and Active Tag. He has possibly one of the best assists in the entire game with his A assist. He does have the shotgun if you need to, meter dump at any time. He does have the meterless stance cancel loops that just delete your health bar. He has like a lot of very strong tools at his disposal, and I do still think he's one of the best characters in the game. It's just now you're going to have to think more about the meter when you build a team with him. Janemba, another member of the meter penalty gang. However, I would still place him in the anchor category. He just like Hit has a 25% meter penalty at all times. However, due to the overwhelming strength of his kit, I really don't think it affects his positioning. And on top of the fact that his greatest strength was never about like his damage output, it's just about what he does to the neutral. And his neutral is still absolutely ridiculous with his tracking ki blasts and, you know, full screen slash. He can also stop you from calling your assist. The assist counter is absolutely nuts. He still has a very fast, very hard to react to command grab. Still has his frame 4 invincible teleport. He has pretty much everything you would want for a strong anchor. He can play the game alone. Not to mention his A assist and B assist are both insane, and they augment almost every character, which is why you would want him in the back, so your characters can take advantage of that, especially that A assist. It is one of the most disruptive assists in the entire game. So granted, he may not be the best anchor in the game anymore due to the meter penalty, but he's still one of the best in my opinion. Jiren, man, this character has really soared through the ranks. This character has become one of the best point characters in the game, which is why I'm putting him up here with these others. He now really not only dictates the pace of a match as soon as he appears, but also is a credible threat when he gets on your block. He has some of the best anti-zoning in the game due to his standard S being a beam style that destroys ki blasts, and he has his projectile counters, of course. He also has 2S to deal with sort of jumping moves, super dashes, all that kind of stuff. Godlike staggers, and he is like a damage machine from those staggers due to the fact that his 2L is even faster and it scales like a medium. So he is just a monster. They sped up his low so he has actual credible mix with assists now, so he can really optimize assist usage. And again, he can use those assists to delete you if he ever gets a singular hit. All these things combined make him one of the best points in the entire game now. It's actually kind of crazy. Kefla. Kefla is one that I would nominate for the point position. This is because all of her tools are very strongly neutral based. Neutral and anti-zoning is basically her biggest strength. Using her teleport with assists is what actually gives that move any sort of meaning to it. The teleport without assists is basically just going to get punished every time, but pairing it with like a barrier or some sort of almost instant assist actually makes it a credible threat, and it makes it where the opponent cannot just actively, throw beams or call their assists and feel safe. So that makes her a very good point character. Not to mention they sped up her overhead, so her having an overhead and a low option only gets stronger when she has assist behind her. Not to mention she has very, very strong neutral to begin with. She has very good meter build, very, very good buttons, amazing stagger potential. All around, she is one of the more balanced point characters in the game, in my opinion. Kid Buu, another one who came back from the depths. Kid Buu, after his damage nerfs were implemented, people stopped believing in him, but now that he got his damage back, he pretty much goes back to where he was, which is just being a full-on jack of all trades character. He pretty much has everything you're looking for, which allows him to fill any position. He's got amazing neutral, amazing block string pressure. That pressure can turn into mix-up pressure very quickly with assists behind him. He's got an amazing assist spread. All of his assists are great, from his beam C covering the neutral to his arm ball giving everybody in the game mix, basically, to his Buu ball being a very good Larry style assist. His super sets up other characters to get Oki as well. He's really just a super balanced character in terms of offense and defense and neutral and block strings and all that stuff. That makes him one of those characters that can fill just about any spot. Krillin. Now this one is easy to recommend, as I now believe Krillin is easily one of the best anchors in the entire game. His overall kit is just literally insane. His neutral is crazy. He has very strong zoning, incredibly high meter build, crazy stagger game. His assist spread, first of all, is nuts. Rock assist is just unbelievably strong. Still probably the best assist in the entire game. It interrupts the opponent's flow, it covers the neutral, it extends combos, and then also it can heal people. But it's just a do everything assist. If you end up with Krillin by himself, he can definitely mount a solo comeback, as he's got a lot of solo tools, as again, he can literally zone you out and turn that zoning into a combo. He has very strong solo mix-ups, solo Oki. He can solo meter dump with Kienzan. It's pretty cool to see Krillin's growth over the course of this game, and he is by far one of the best and strongest choices if you're looking for an anchor on your team. Majin Buu. This character is pretty much only a point character in my opinion, and that's just to the way he's built. His entire kit is based behind the idea that you want to get resets going, and for that to happen, he basically has to be on point. He needs assists to do his resets. If he can get the resets going, he's most likely going to win. If not, he's going to have trouble, which is why you don't see this character that often. On top of the fact that he's kind of hard to play, so he's kind of like a feast or famine kind of character. But outside of that, he does have some good buttons, some pretty decent neutral, and a pretty good assist spread. So he's definitely not a bad character. It's just that his flexibility is definitely on the lower end, so you're gonna almost always want him in that point position. Master Roshi. This character I would definitely recommend as a mid. He has really found his way out of that pit of being low tier and now is a very strong character that brings a lot to the table. First things first, he is an insane damage machine. Like, this character really hurts if he hits you with just about anything, especially a 2H, which is, as we all know, is one of the most likely things to hit in this game. So him being a damage monster is a good reason to put him on your team. The reason you're going to put him mid, though, is that he is pretty meter dependent. He also has a level 2 that you can DHC to, so again, if you have a character that builds a lot of meter, it's great to have him come in and chuck on a bunch of extra damage on your DHC. He also has a very good beam style assist, and he is now one of the better cleanup characters in the game, meaning if your point character does get smoked and you need to fall back on your mid to kind of take the pace back in your favor, Roshi is very good at doing that. Now that his neutral is even stronger and his lightning surprise can be comboed from, he can really slow the match down, and for a lot of characters it can be hard to even mount any offense against him, which is why I would nominate him as a very good choice for a mid on your team. Nappa. For him, it's pretty obvious. He is based all around the Cybermen, and the Cyberman summon that you want is going to require meter, so that means you're going to want him in the middle, let the point character build up as much meter as possible, and then let Nappa go crazy after you tag him in. Ideally, you want your point character to get a hit and then active tag into Nappa so that you get the corner and you get your Cyberman mix going, because that's Nappa's other weakness, is that his neutral is kind of non-existent. It's whatever his neutral is Cyberman. So since he's all about the Cyberman, you want other characters to do all the heavy lifting so he can come in and literally reap the benefits. And with how high his damage output is and how hard it is to get Cyberman off the screen or even block Cybermen, he is definitely one of the best mid characters in the game, and he definitely affects the pace of the game more than most other characters do. Piccolo. Piccolo is definitely a mid in terms of team utility. This is due to the fact that he is super meter dependent. Pretty much Piccolo wants meter for everything. So yet again, like we said with most of these other mids, you're going to want someone else to do that heavy lifting first and then bring him in when he's actually got meter. On top of that, he has one of the, most annoying assists in the game, which is the homing energy blast that literally just takes over the entire match once it's called. So whoever you have on point, you're going to want someone who can utilize that assist before bringing him in. Not to mention Piccolo's biggest weakness is his neutral, so again, that's why you want a point character to take care of that for him. And he doesn't function that well as an anchor because of the fact that he gets zoned out pretty easily once he doesn't have assists, so keep that in mind. But as long as your team is healthy and you get Piccolo out on the map when you still have your assists up and you have a good amount of meter, he is going to bring a lot to the table in terms of team utility. Super Baby 2, my buddy. Easily gonna recommend him in the flexible category because it is my belief that he is the most flexible character in the entire game. This is due to the fact that he just strictly has the best zoning in the game, so it is difficult for almost all characters to even approach him or to play neutral with him. So that gives this character the ability to play just about any position. If you want to put him on point and have him dictate the neutral early on, you can do that. If you want him to be in the middle and come in to play cleanup, if your point character gets smoked, you can do that. And if you need a reliable anchor, he can do that as well. He has some of the highest meter build in the game. His damage now is actually ridiculous. He has actual mix-ups and solo mix-ups now that he actually has a low 2L. Assist steal is basically a broken move. Assist steal unlocks when you kill a character. His assist pool is really, really good. His A, B, and C assist are all amazing. So you can literally put Baby anywhere on your team and he is going to augment that team, making him, as I said before, in my opinion, probably the most flexible character in the game. Tenshinhan, you already know what the deal is. Everybody knows this man is Anchorman. He is just pretty much designed like base Goku. He is designed to be an anchor due to the fact that when he is in limit break, his Kikoho does not take as much health from him. This is pretty much a push from the devs to say, hey, this character is meant to be an anchor, and that's good because he has a lot of anchor tools. He has a lot of guard point moves, which are, if you don't know, guard point is similar to armor moves. They are moves that ignore attacks, so that allows him to mount an offense by himself. He also has a built-in assist in Chaozu. He has very good neutral, very good staggers, insane damage, basically everything you would want from an anchor. He's also got a great assist with his Dodanpa. He is always going to be one of the most popular anchors in the game, and for good reason. Trunks. Trunks is a character that I would nominate also for the mid position. Trunks is a character whose kit really comes to life when he has meter. He is super meter dependent. Basically, he needs meter to do his flip mix-ups and basically his flip at neutral and just in general pressure situations. So obviously he's going to need a lot of meter for that. He's also very assist dependent. He needs assist to help with his conversions at neutral. He needs assist for those said flip mix-ups. But the good thing is, if you actually do get those things off, he can become very hard to block. He does actually do a lot of damage now thanks to the way his routes work. He does have a level 2, even if it's not the strongest. He does get a good mix-up off of his level 3 if you set it up correctly, again with assists. So Trunks is definitely one of the most textbook mid characters because he is incredibly reliant on assists and meter, which is why you're not going to want him in that point or anchor category in my opinion. But the good thing is he brings a lot of utility to your team due to the fact that his assists are amazing. His C assist obviously has a lot of lockdown. Change the Future is kind of absurd now because it goes almost full screen, and then he has the buffed team assist. So Trunks being on your team will bring a lot of utility to that middle section. Blue Vegeta, boy oh boy. If you've been living under a rock, you might not have seen, but this man has really evolved in front of our eyes. He is now the most popular point character in the game. If you play this game online at all right now, you would already know that due to his insane neutral, anti-zoning, and just general damage output. Like, this character is an absolute monster now that he has those special move cancels. It is very hard for most characters to deal with his neutral in general, but when he gets on top of you, he is very, very hard to block. And then if he hits you, you literally die. I think that his damage will probably be touched up at some point because I think it's a little too high, on top of the fact that his meter build is ridiculous and his corner carry is ridiculous. He is an insane point character. It's almost like he mocks the other point characters in terms of having point character utility, because he literally just does everything. And due to the fact that he's always been sort of mediocre in this game, I think most people are willing to look the other way and just let him be one of, if not the best point characters in the entire game. SSJ Vegeta, possibly one of the biggest success stories of this entire game. This was a character last patch who literally no one believed in. He was thought to be dirt tier and unsalvageable, and now he is literally one of the better point characters in the game due to the fact that he actually became a realistic zoning character. Now that he can cancel his rapid fire shot, it makes his neutral actually kind of insane. A lot of characters have a lot of trouble dealing with that move now, and you can't just cleanly super dash it because of the threat of the uppercut, and then even if it whiffs, he can vanish. So he is a very credible zoner now, and due to the change to his rocket kick, he can actually mix up now as well with the help of assists. So with those reasons combined, it makes him a very strong point character. But if that wasn't all, he is one of the best batteries in the entire game. He has absolutely insane meter build, possibly the highest. I know I've said that a couple of times, but it's comparable between some of these characters. His meter build is literally broken, and he has an incredible assist spread. So SSJ Vegeta has gone from literally in the gutter to, if you're looking for a good zoning character to get things started on your team, he is a great choice. Base Vegeta, and just like the others, he is also a point. The difference between Base Vegeta and the others is that he is more focused on just straight up DBFZ neutral and mix up. So the best thing about him is that he is a very high optimization character. He blends really well with most assists in the game. It's definitely not hard for him to either get in or keep the opponent away. You can kind of do both. Not to mention his meter build is very high, so having a mix-up character that builds a lot of meter, which is exactly what you want out of a point character. He still has his level 3 mix-up on top of having a great assist for when you tag him out. So all things considered, joining the other two, Base Vegeta is a really great choice for a point character on just about any team. Vegetto. This used to be a character that we had in the flexible category. We are now moving him over to the mid category, and that is probably, as you would guess, because he is meter penalized. Other than that, he still has pretty much nothing but strengths. His neutral is ridiculous still. He still has godlike buttons. He still sets up active tag so well for other characters. He still has the godlike assist. He has a level 4. He has a level 1 that does an insane amount of damage. Pretty much everything that he had before when he was considered like top 1, top 2, he still has. It's just that he doesn't build the meter that he did before. So now you're going to want a character to build a little bit of meter for him and then bring him out so he can go crazy. And when he goes crazy, it's still going to be as effective as it was before. He's just not going to delete you free. So that makes him a very solid choice as a mid in this game. Videl. Videl is a character that I would nominate for the anchor position. She has possibly the best C assist in the game. Her DP assist, it is very fast, hits up very high, and is fully invincible. So if you're looking for a great defensive assist that you want your point and mid character to be able to utilize, it's right there in Videl. She also has a very good lariat assist, it's very fast, and her B assist gives everybody mix-ups. So that's a good reason to have her in the back. Other than that, if she ends up alone, she can play the game alone very well due to the fact that her neutral is very powerful even without assists. Saiyaman can, just discredit, key blast, all that good stuff. He stopped super dash. He also got buffed to the point where her Oki got stronger and her neutral got stronger due to 2 of her calls getting buffed. Not to mention she can be very hard to block. She's very anti-reflect. She has a command grab. She basically has everything you would need. Level 1 into level 3. She is literally one of the better anchors in the game, and she only got better after her buffs. Yamcha. Yamcha is a tough one, but overall I would recommend him for the anchor position. This is due to the fact that he does have a lot of self-sustaining tools, such as his buttons are very self-sustaining since he has plus buttons that return him to 0, buttons that lunge in. He has the Wolf Fang, he has the cross-up Wolf Fang, he has a Key Blast that lets him, back up. He has a lot of things he can do on your block that are very good that don't even require assists. So that's one reason I'd put him there. Another reason is he has a very good assist spread. Both his A and B assists are amazing. His A assist is still one of the best lariats in the game. His B assist is a beam, which got buffed, and in case you didn't know, his beam style assist is the same speed as all the others, so that does give it a lot of utility. Not to mention he has a level 1 to level 3, he has very good solo damage, very good solo meter build. He can be pretty hard to block when he's in sparking. He has a lot of aspects about him that make him a very strong anchor character. I would just say be cautious about putting him as your anchor because he does have a little bit of stagnant neutral, but other than that, I think most other things about him are pretty good, and he brings a lot to the team overall. Zamasu, my other buddy. I'm going to have to put him in the mid category again. You guessed it, due to meter penalty. Now, in my opinion, Zamasu is the one that is hurt some of the worst by the meter penalty because he never built meter to begin with, but he spends a lot of it. He has to spend meter to try to mix you up, and he has to spend a lot of meter to try to kill. He's a very, very meter dependent character while being a character that does not build any meter with his actual routes. So those things combined basically eliminate him from ever being a point character again. His point character potential is kind of dead, but outside of those things, he has, you know, godlike damage, godlike buttons, godlike neutral in his flight mode, really good key blast, really, really good assist. His A assist, I still think, is one of the best assists in the game. So all around, I still think he's an incredibly strong character. It's just his positioning on a team is extremely limited now. Gogeta 4. Now this is one that I had to think about for a while, and after careful consideration, I'm going to put him in the point category. Now, I know that he has the meter penalty, but for him, I think it matters the least. And now hear me out when I say that. One of the main purposes of playing Gogeta 4 is to build up to level 7. If you're building up to level 7, then the meter penalty literally has no meaning, because if you build a level 7 team, the whole idea is you're going to get hits that let you taunt cancel as much as possible. And when you taunt cancel, the idea is that you're going to tag him out when you hit level 7 so that he can become an instant kill when you want it later. So with that idea in mind, it doesn't really matter how much meter you're building, it matters how many levels you're building. If you're playing a level up style Gogeta, which you should be, it really doesn't matter how much meter you're building at that point in time. What's important is getting as many levels as early on as possible to make him a threat. And the other factor is that he's just insanely powerful as a point character. He's very, very good in terms of opening people up with assists. His neutral is very assist dependent. He's very good at optimizing assists, especially in block strings. He has very strong anti-neutral tools, all that good stuff. And then also his assists have always been his biggest weakness. His assists are very mediocre. A, B, and C are all kind of like whatever. So it's hard for me to recommend him as a mid because he doesn't really have an assist that's gonna help characters out that much. So all in all, even with the penalty, I feel Gogeta 4 is still a very good option as a point. And last but not least, the Labcoat. Now, in my last video, it was kind of a joke to where I just threw her somewhere and ended the video, but this time we'll actually talk about it because she has been very substantially nerfed at the time of this video, so it makes replacing a little bit difficult. She should be a mid, because she still has like every tool in the world. It's just that she doesn't build any meter. So you need to, as with these other mids, you need to build up meter first and then bring her in so that her strengths show. But when she comes in, she's still everything she was before, you know, almost unblockable. She has the debuff. She has great neutral, all that stuff. She's still a monster, but I will say the spin has also been nerfed. That's the other caveat, is she doesn't really have a good assist anymore. I think her best assist now is her C assist, and that's not the most ideal thing, but I will say, because I already recommended it on Videl, C assists are pretty good now. The cooldown is 11 seconds, which is not that long. It's only about 4 seconds longer than a regular assist. So given that fact, it's not that bad if someone's best assist is their C. That's not really a penalty anymore. Now the C assist got buffed. So overall, I would say she's still a strong character. She's just not broken. And with that, we have covered every character's recommended team position for the current meta of DFZ. As you can see, it turns out that, in my opinion, the game has more mids than anything else. This is mostly due to the meter penalty. If not for meter penalty, several characters would be in different positions, namely Vegetto, Hit, and Labcoat would definitely not be here if not for the meter penalty, because I do believe those characters can play other roles, but the meter penalty is kind of forcing them there. All things considered, I do think that this is pretty balanced because you have a healthy amount of point characters, a healthy amount of mids, and then more anchors than we've ever had. And then we also have a very good amount of characters in the flexible category that can fill in the blanks. So all things considered, I do think the roster is very balanced right now, which is always going to make the game a lot more fun. And of course, these are just my suggestions. If your team ends up being different from this, you know, that's great. That's the power of a team-based game. But these are just suggestions directed at people who are having trouble putting a team together. And hopefully this can help those people build a solid team that they're going to enjoy playing. But either way, that is going to do it for this one. Thanks so much for listening, guys. Be sure to leave a like if you found this helpful at all. I would really appreciate it. Don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss the next guide or match video. And I will see you guys in the next one. Peace.